What's going on, everyone? Hope you're all having a great day. I just wanted to do this intro to say that thank you to all my competitors. It was a great tournament. This footage is from the Fuji tournament I did last weekend. The first video is the 150-pound intermediate division, and the last video is the finals. And then the two videos in the middle are both the quote-unquote absolute division. And I had a walkover during the absolute division, but I just say I went 3-1 instead of 4-1 because, it's a walkover. But anyway, so the video starts a couple seconds late, so let's get right into it. He does a great job of grabbing a single, and as I wrap his head, he's aware of the threat, so he switches his head to the inside, so I immediately have to switch my grip. And there I just keep scooting my butt back to get a little bit of space so I can get the neck. So right there, that's nothing but neck. And normally, the guillotine is nullified. You cannot get a guillotine if they're in side control. But if you see the kind of grip I have, it's nothing but each side of his neck. So it's a pure blood choke from there. And then I just roll him over. Yeah, again, he does a great job of grabbing that single. I mean, phenomenal. And he's, again, aware of the threat, so he switches his head. I immediately have to switch my grip really fast, but he still gets the takedown. And I just keep scooting back, and you'll see my right, I post on his leg to create a little bit of space to make that connection. And that high elbow's there. And again, because of that grip, that's the only reason this choke worked from side control. You can't get a guillotine from side control. But again, I got both forearms on each side of his neck, hitting the carotid artery. And yeah, that was the first match of the day. All right, on to the second match of the day. We're hand fighting. I'm trying to make reads, so there I see him lower his head. And I'm like, perfect, that's exactly what I want. I want you to lower your head if you think I'm going to go for that takedown. So I make that read, and then you'll see I'm just trying to get the hands off me. I don't want him to make a connection. I feint low again, grab his neck, and you can see I back up. I keep backing up, keep backing up, keep backing up. And that way I can break his posture down. I slowly circle, and he does a good job of trying to go to his back, but I'm able to make that connection. You can see I go palm to palm there, and then I slowly engage my lat and my bicep, and I'm pulling up, and I'm able to get the tap. And go back again. And that's the thing, I don't want him to get grips, so we're hand fighting in the beginning. Boom, boom. I just touch the leg. Just touch, don't overcommit or anything, just to see what he'll do to that reaction. I'm like, okay, I make that read. Keep breaking connections. Don't want him to get any sorts of grips. Boom, grab the head. Left hand goes over the back of his head so I can pull down, and the right makes that connection on his neck. Now, again, backing up, breaking down the posture. And he, again, does a good job of trying to defend by going to the back. So you saw I reached down briefly for his arm to try to turn him back over, but then I'm just like, no, we'll just go for the choke. We'll see what's up. So, slow pressure, and I'm able to get the tap right there. All right, so this is the finals match of the absolute no-gi intermediate bracket. It says it's absolute, but it's like 165 and under. It's not like a true absolute match, but anyway, we'll get right into it. So, first thing you'll notice is this guy is way taller than me, and considering I like getting the neck pretty early on, I knew I had to collar tie or somehow get his head low enough to where I could grab it, but he does either he knew I wanted that and he tried to stand tall, or he's just that fucking tall and I'm that short. One of the two, or both. But yeah, as you can see here, I'm feigning low again just to get a reaction out of him. And I decided to tie up with him a little bit, and maybe I could use some of my strength to try to get his neck low, play with the feet a little bit, get him off balance. And there I have a deep sigh because I'm like, Jesus, like, I cannot get that neck low. So I was like, let me just shoot. Because that's the thing. If you have a taller opponent, then you're closer to the hips. If you have a shorter opponent, they may be closer to your hips, but you're closer to their neck, if that makes sense. So I just decided to shoot. I can get 2 points, which is great. I really wanted to sub over points, but, we can progress to the sub from the ground. You know what I mean? So the first thing you'll see me doing is I'm immediately trying to put pressure on his closed guard. He's got a tight triangle. He's got really long legs, so, getting that triangle open was a bit difficult. He did a couple things trying to get me off balance to where, make it more difficult for me to break it. But I finally break it. I stand up. He gives me an ankle. And so I just decide to dive on a straight ankle lock, which I feel like gets close at one point, but he does a good job defending and rolling. And, a little taunting with the yawn, which, sportsmanship, I fuck with it, it's all good. And I eventually decide to bail on it, but the thing is I should have scrambled up a little faster, but I got a little complacent. I play off my guard, which I'm cool with. I've got decent guard retention. So you can see, yeah, he does a good job of just trying to fucking make me really uncomfortable. Still doesn't pass the guard, though. I got a nice knee shield in right there. I have a bad habit of hugging the head, but as soon as I frame, boom, I also get to close guard, so that's where I want to be. And at some point, yeah, he shushes my coach, so that's also where I'm like, okay, now I gotta get my hands on this motherfucker. So I finally decided to do a hip bump to a Kimura, which I absolutely love. And I'm like, all right, cool, let's get it. And I'm either trying to get the Kimura or go for a sweep. But at a certain point, I think I just decide to just try to get the arm, rip the arm out and get it behind him. And just go for the sub instead of the sweep. My coach is calling for me to get shrimp to my right so I can get a little bit more leverage and get his arm out. So you'll see I eventually do like a bump right there, get it, throw my legs over, and I'm able to get the Kimura right there. Get the tap and, give him some props, give him some love. Alrighty, so this is the finals of the 150 intermediate no-gi bracket. So you can see I start out just feinting, hand fighting a little bit, and he does a great job of getting his head really low, going for that low single. I wrap up his head, but he immediately pops it out, so then I'm back in close guard. From there, I'm just trying to break frames. Break his posture down so maybe he can't build up as much. I go for a punch choke briefly. However, that's, more for show, rather than actually working. Make him uncomfortable a little bit. It's not too deep. I think he even smiled off that, just, a little bit of a smile. He does a good job of trying to break my guard that way. I just tie my legs up and try to keep them tight. Hand fighting a little bit, seeing if I can maybe drag the arm across, if anything like that would work. Playing with his legs a little bit, disrupting his base. I just don't want him to open the guard right now. So I'm doing a good job of just keeping that tight. And I actually off-balance him. We scramble up. It was decent, but, nothing great. He is a D1 wrestler out of the University of West Virginia, so high-level wrestling. I believe he's actually All-American as well. So, again, high level. And I decide to, go for an Uchimatas. Maybe I can get his head low. Maybe I can grab a guillotine. He does it back to me way better. Grabs the body lock, tosses me onto the mat, and we're back to side control. There I tie up his head a little bit, which I should be framing, but I don't. Not yet, at least. Another punch choke attempt to make him uncomfortable. However, I definitely should have... wrapping up an armbar there, but he does a great job of popping his head out, so I go inverted. And I don't get an inverted triangle, right? Like, you can see my legs are loose. They're not locked. So there is plenty of slack in it. It's not really a threat to him. It's much more for control right now. However, I do have a Kimura grip. What you can't see is I do have a Kimura grip. I cannot get his arm out, though, so I'm tugging a little bit and trying different things. I off-balance him briefly, but, again, a D1 wrestler, so his balance is phenomenal. I try to transition to an armbar. He's very aware, so he just pops his arm out. I try to go back to an inverted triangle from there. However, that just does not work out at all, and I'm back in side control. This time, I'm smart enough to frame instead of just grabbing his head. So I'm able to create a little bit of space and maybe try to get a knee shield in, but instead he passes to full mount. And this is not where you want to be against a high-level wrestler. He's currently working on a gift wrap, I believe, just putting a lot of pressure on my face. And there I'm trying to frame. I am aware of my extended arm, you know, because that can lead to a armbar. There he gift wraps me. It's uncomfortable. It's not unbearable, but it's enough to make me move. You know, it's uncomfortable. And from there, I'm in turtle. I, could have quad potted. I could have done different things, but the pressure is just A1. And he breaks me to a hip, and then boom. Back in mount. Or maybe that's 3/4. I can't tell where his leg is. But either way, it's not an ideal position for me. I try to gammy roll. I wrap his head again to maybe off-balance him a little bit. I realize, okay, let's not do that. So I put frames back in. Try to get a little bit of space. And you can see my knee shield pops in for a second, but he stuffs it. And, we're playing this game of me trying to get some guard retention. He may have been worried about the triangle, so he backs off and wisely just slides right back in. And we're playing the guard game again. I'm trying to get him in my closed guard, and he staples my right leg. I mean, beautiful. It's so hard to move from this position. And then he takes my right leg or my left leg so I can't high step over to retain guard, and stuffs me into north-south position. I'm grabbing on the head a little bit. I thought about a choke very briefly, and then I was like, that's just not going to work. We need to regard. So I'm currently trying to stuff my leg back in to maybe go back to that reverse triangle or just get some sort of frames inside. And then I pop up briefly to try to take the back, but you can see he swivels his hip and his leg out, so then my frame's gone. And I'm partly on the back, but he just tears me right off and puts me back into closed guard. And then if you can see, stuffs my knees together so I can't, get a good closed guard. And then I'm back to trying to retain my guard, and he's doing a good job of just shifting my hips and trying to pass the guard, which he's already done. So he's gotten points a couple times for a guard pass, but I'm trying to, in close guard, I can work some subs a little bit easier, so he just doesn't want to be there and does a great job of stuffing my leg again. And I'm just throwing up weird subs because I heard someone say, you got 30 seconds, throw something up. And so I'm like, okay, might as well. And again, a very uncomfortable position. I give a thumbs up just to let the ref know, like, I'm not out or anything, but a great performance on his part. Great competitor. The utmost respect to Caleb. Yeah, fantastic wrestler. And a good match overall. And thank you to all my opponents. I do my best to always just be grateful for having good competition, and this time I really, really did. And so, yeah, if y'all somehow got to this, thank you all, truly. A good tournament experience. I think I showed off what I wanted, but I also know what I need to work on. And I think those are the best tournaments, where, you get to showcase your skill, but also you don't get too comfortable in just your current state. You always have something to work for. So, thank y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.